What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Neg Entropy Chronicles. I got a guest that is back. It is London. We are back in the building, and we got a really good topic for y'all, and I want y'all to rock with it. If you don't know who we're about to talk about, you got to do your research. We're going to give you the game, but you got to study it for yourself. And my question for you, London, is, was Shahrazad Ali right?
So when you think about Shahrazad Ali, how she started off initially was her book that she came out within the 90s of The Black Man's Guide to the Black Woman. So it put the spotlight on Black women in the 90s. And pretty much the whole point was everybody was examined, the Black man, the white woman, except for the Black woman. So when you're talking about the Black culture and the Black family, the only person that's being held responsible back then was the Black man. So for her, it was like it's kind of it takes two to tango, in a situation with, well, not situation per se, but in a relationship.
Yeah.
And if we come to a point of, well, it's always the man, it's always the man. Well, what about the woman? And that's where pretty much she came from, as the fact of it can't always just be the man. The woman has to play some part in there. So speaking upon that, I believe she is right. Um, we look at today's society, um, and the Black family is just not what the Black family used to be
Okay.
years ago. So when you go back to it, and she even talks about these systems that are put in place, those are like external. So she even credits the external, but also she talks about the internal, which is the Black family, the Black woman and the Black man. And she speaks on a point where she talks about the Black woman has lost faith in the Black man, that she has some type of fury, some type of animosity, and it could lead all the way back to slavery.
Mm.
And the factor of slavery is he could not help me. He could not save us.
Mm.
Even though when you
Mm.
look at slavery, that was like a whole big movement in a sense of, you know, I feel like the Black men back then were not equipped to do so.
All right.
Um,
All right.
if when I look at, the stories that are told, and I can't say this is factual because it's only things that we are told. You got white men with guns, they got actual guns,
Yeah.
and if you look at, and I'm not even gonna say Black, because back then we weren't Black. There were indigenous people. So when you look at it like that, they had whatever means of survival then, but it wasn't guns. So I feel like in that factor, you definitely was overpowered. And then it takes a mental toll when they use mental situations to, not only mental, but physical situations to break down the Black man, so they feel like they can't save, because if they do, somebody is going to pay the price,
All right.
because or in those situations, some probably have tried and they have seen in the long run people pay the price at like the ultimate whatever they used,
Yeah.
in situations like that. So when you go back to it as the woman being the person to say, well, you should have at least did something would have got him killed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
once you date back and then you move up further, then you come to, after slavery, after Jim Crow, after segregation, then you have that traditional family, but then you have the feminist somehow that played a factor, you
Yeah.
know. They got people, they got black women along to, all right, we're trying to be equal. That's what I'm going to assume. We're trying to be equal, but it was an ulterior motive within that. So the black woman played the factor of the separation right then and there with the feminist movement. So that was the start. And even though they will call it the system, the government put all these factors in place, which is external, like she said, they had a choice.
Mm.
They did not choose the man. They chose what they wanted. And that was the freedom to be able to be who they wanted to be at that point. And as you go down generation to generation to generation, you have more women wanting to chase the bag, get the PhD, a lot of get yourself so organized educationally, financially, but no no self growth. So
I like that. I like what you said there. That's important.
by the time that they kind of almost hit the wall, they would already been presented with men that were potential suitors that they would not have known, because there's no telling of what traumas they've been through in childhood or in past relationships they have not healed from.
Yeah.
So when you look at it in that aspect, yes, you have to look at the woman. You have to see, because the black man has already been under the scope for enough time and still is. So in that factor, I definitely would say she is right. She did have some backlash because there was a quote, and I'm trying to see
That's
if
an understatement. That's an understatement. There was a lot of backlash because remember, sorry, I'm gonna jump in, but remember back in this was 91, 92 when this first started jumping,
yeah.
and she was on Phil Donahue, Geraldo Rivera. She's on these shows, and you see all of these masses of black people going at her. And just talking to her crazy. You even had Ayanna Van Zandt. You had black scholars like, yo, she's detrimental to the black community. But all they would do was depict certain portions from a book, which to me is always unfair. If I write an entire book and you take one excerpt out of that book and use that as the catalyst as to why I'm a detriment, there's a problem behind it. Excuse me. But if you notice, most of the black men said, yo, that was one portion. Because remember, what was it that set the black women off during that time? This was 30 years ago.
Yeah, so
It
it
was
said, oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, no, go ahead, go ahead. Let me see. Let me see if we're gonna be on the
So
same page. Show
it
me what we're
said
talking about.
a sound, open hand slap in the mouth. If a woman becomes uncontrollably disrespectful, is something they should consider. What she was talking about, the black man should consider that.
Now,
That was just one, though.
what was the other ones?
The other one was the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and authority of black men is the direct cause of the breakdown of our black family, as well as the black woman must be tamed by the black man.
Okay, so
Now that one is,
hold on, wait, because you named the one which was the open hand backslap. What were the other options that she provided? Because here's the thing, women get upset when they hear the word tamed, which is ironic because they say you need to handle me. But now that we say back then it was said tamed, oh, am I an animal? The same thing works in the format of handle. But are you able to see when she named off the other options that a man can do? They only focused on the backhand slap. But what was the other options that she provided to the men? Because after you say these, I'm gonna add my little, coins into it. So what was the other options that she had given black men in the book?
now I haven't read the book, and I actually
Oh,
searched for some time to
Yeah.
try to find that, but nobody would report that. And
Okay.
it's like I vaguely remember
I got it.
those.
I
Yeah.
got it for you. I thought you was gonna jump in, but let me get my shoulders right. You know what I'm saying? But one of them was, you can go out, go holler at his boys. Have the round. I call it the round table, where you go talk with your boys. You have the round table. You speak about all the men talk about what's going on, and you get good counsel from what you're talking about. Man, my wife acting like this, or my lady's acting like this. What am I supposed to do? But you got to keep good men around you, because and I'm not talking about soft men. I'm not talking about oppressive men. I'm talking about men who understand the aspect of communication. So you would go out, you have some drinks with your boys, and you'd have this actual conversation. The other one was he just go out and drink by himself. The other one was he can go to a woman who's willing to listen to him, the side woman. Because what women don't understand, they be like, oh man, he's a cheater, he's a cheater. Now, primarily back then, the lie that has always been told, men cheat just because it's some new booty. They never looked at into the aspect of emotionality for men. What are they lacking? What do they need? What are they looking for? They want to be feeling like this. If I'm protecting, I'm providing, I'm doing all of this stuff, but I still am being disrespected. I'm not being treated as the man that is providing and protecting. I need something to make me feel good. So where am I going to go? Because women say that nowadays, because they can be like, oh, well, you can provide and protect, but I need more. If he's working 16 hours, well, just say 8 hours a day based on his schedule. I'm working 8 hours a day from, let's say, 11 to 8:30. Y'all got kids, but when he gets home, the kids got to go to bed. He don't have a lot of time to spend with them. And then let's just say if he's working weekends, that's even worse. You understand? Because I learned Henry Ford was the one that created the 5-day workday. Before that, it was 4 days. Boom. You go work and you got 3 days, because I used to work 4 10s. Them 3 days, it was a lot of time to mesh with whoever you was trying to rock with. But in the scope of family, you know what I mean? These men was working, and if a woman went out and looked for something else, it was always about emotion. And nowadays, let's say since the 70s, if women have been running these households, they've been teaching men emotions. So now these men that are now running the streets, they're looking for an emotional camaraderie with whoever they're dealing with. So if they're not getting it, they're also doing the same thing that women are doing. But it has been this lie that has existed long enough to make people think that, oh, this is all they care about is booty. That's not always the case. They want an emotional connection. They're not going to leave their women. Because even back in the day, the men would go to create a whole nother family, but they never divorced the women. And guess what happened when they died? That woman that they left got everything. They never talk about that. They never divorced those women. They kept with that woman married. And as soon as they passed away, boom, she got everything. Now, sorry, I kind of
Yeah.
delved off. But now, when you talk about the book, she's also like, you can just sit there and argue with your woman. You just sit there and argue, just whoa, 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 whoa. Let's be honest. Men do not have the capacity to argue with women. We can stay on facts. You know what I mean? Hey, bang, 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 boogie. But if it gets too crazy, they be like, no, you know what I mean? Because we don't have the capacity to argue. It's just not in us, because it only goes a certain amount, and then they be like, man, what you trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, what route you trying to take
Yeah.
it? Because we didn't try to talk about this logically, but now, the disrespect is heavy.
And I got one thing to
Yeah, go
interject
ahead.
that when it comes to the communication, it's like women always want to go to the point of when he has elevated his voice, that he has become, the tones have changed. But
Mm-hmm.
beforehand, it's like, okay, I'm trying to stick to this point. I'm at this level. And then here you are trying to prove a point, and you're putting things in situations where they don't belong, which creates the chaos that you're trying to say, well, no, it's this, let's stay on topic. But it's like, on the other hand, her, it's like, oh no, and da 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 da. And before she realizes, she's already yelling. All right. And then it
Yeah.
becomes hostile. So it's like, all right, for a man, I would only think, okay, so we yelling. All right, all right. It goes up. We
Yeah.
going up.
Yeah.
All right.
You try to match it. You eventually start trying to
Like
match what's
you
going
you
on.
start, all right, you just kind of, before you know it, you already like, all right, woman, it's like, yep, it's steps. And then before you know it, I done cuss words start flying out, and then it's like,
Exactly.
she's stunned,
Or she gonna keep
or
going.
she's just matching and going even higher. And then
Yeah.
it's just, it doesn't go nowhere.
And this is the reason why I agree why she is right. Because 30 years later, remember in one of the interviews, well, not the interview, one of the debates that they had, Ayanna Van Zant was on that show. And she even said, Shahrazad Ali, you're a detriment to the Black community. You're painting this picture. But the majority of the Black men who read that book, they was like, she's not telling us to beat women.
Mm-mm,
She's not telling us to cheat on women. She's not
mm-mm.
telling us none of this. What she's showing us is a light into understanding Black women. Because what is the title of the book? The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. And they said, oh, you're just picking out a portion of the Black community. You're picking this portion. But that small portion back in the 90s, early 90s,
It
is
was
not a
just,
majority.
yeah, it
And
wasn't.
that's the sad part, because she was trying to nip it in the bud, but now it's exploded. And that's the problem. What did I sent you that? I told you the website that Kevin Samuels used, that Black website that is created by Black people. It's not created by, any other culture. This is the culture created by us. And I read off facts about businesses, everything. And when you look at the numbers of how many kids have been born out of wedlock, regardless of the reason, it's just an explosion of the numbers from
Mm,
back then to now.
yeah.
So I agree that she's right. And she's even said more and more people keep going back to that book. Shout out to Mediocre Tutorial Reviews when he did the interview with her. What did she say? Every couple years, every
It's always a
decade,
fight.
it
It's a
comes
cycle.
back up and they
Yeah.
say, yo, she wasn't lying. She was
Hmm.
right about this, so on
Yeah.
and so forth. And she been married God knows how long, because she never actually talks about it, but she's not divorced.
Yeah, she
Using,
talks a little bit about it.
yeah.
From what I read, her original husband died in 1985, and
Mm.
she has a second husband. I'm trying to remember. So the precisely, I believe she has 12 kids, but I believe it's roughly nine that's adopted.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure when she
Yeah, because she
adopted.
has a lot. Because she has a lot of grandkids too.
Yeah, she does.
Because
So
remember, on the MTR video, she was like, "Yo,
he
I
has
had
one
to
of her.
take time off because I gotta help raise the kids."
Yeah.
And remember, who were the biggest prevention methods during her selling that book back in the day? It was Black libraries.
Yep.
The Black folks was like, "Nah, we ain't even gonna put this in here,"
Nope.
but she was still selling
Yeah.
because Black men wanted to know something.
Yeah.
Because since The Color Purple, because people don't understand this, The Color Purple, Black men did not want that movie to
Mm-mm.
come out because they were like, yo, you're painting a bad light on Black men. We don't want this to come out because most Black men do not think this way.
Mm-mm.
But because of broken households, broken
Yeah.
families, you're starting to see a real detriment because
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna tell all y'all that's watching this video, I want y'all to understand something. Me and London were talking about this, and I want women to take this into accountability. Take this into your mind, take this and run with it. If you are being abused by a man, call the police. Get the record put on place, because we see this stuff all the time. Why didn't y'all work out? Why didn't the relationship happen? Well, because he was abusive. Here's the problem. Y'all take abuse for years. You have children with these people, even though they was beating you before y'all even had kids. Y'all had the kids, still getting beat on, so on and so forth. Then you just bail out. No, the moment he put his hands on you, put the record on him. Because at the end of the day, when you beating on women, you want to get out, cool. But don't put that on the next woman that doesn't know. Because what I've learned about Black women, they learn your name, they pull it up, and they look up your jail record, which I'm with. But if women ain't protecting other Black women by calling the police to save themselves and the future of the women, what are we doing? Because this dude just be like, oh, well, she was crazy and all of that stuff. Yeah. Nah, dog, I'm looking at your record. You beat on women. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, listen, do not lie, though. Don't say the man beat you and he ain't never did nothing to you just because you're mad at him because he broke up with you because you was wilding. Because the aspect that you said before about communication is important as well.
Yes.
I think one of the things that we go wrong with within the community is we don't have the idea of what communication is. So can you expound on that? Because you mentioned communication before. Yeah. So what do you think it is about communication and where we go wrong from men to women about communication?
So I would speak from the woman's aspect. It's very emotional. Whatever you're speaking about, it's emotions that drive you. And if you're too emotional, you can be irrational. So in that factor, if it's like, I'll give an example. Okay, let's just say, your guy cheated on you. All right. You're not looking at the factor of why he cheated on you. You're just only focused on the factor of he just cheated on me. My heart is broken. Yeah. You're looking for this unexplainable sorry. Like, that's how I would put it. Like, it's so profound of a sorry that you need to make you feel okay in that moment. Okay. But all in all it is that hurt you feel, honestly, it is your responsibility to heal from it. Okay. Gotcha. Your own responsibility. If somebody breaks your heart, they can't heal it for you. Who broke you can't heal you. All right. The only way that they can play a factor in helping you in some sort is to change and not do the same thing that broke you. Now, I would say you need to spend time apart in that factor to heal and then revisit and see, if anything changed, instead of staying there and being judge, jury, and executor, because you're not looking at the fact of what happened, because you're not focused on what happened, why he went out there. Oh, he just a dog. That's the thing. Just a dog. So it's the communication of understanding each other, the communication of comprehension, not to listen to respond, but listen to understand. It is so many to do that so you can get past the anger, because I feel like once it happens, you should never talk about it at that moment. Like,
when you first find out.
When you first find out, you need to give yourself time to fully process.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
You're not going to want to listen. Even if the man says, I am so sorry, he is crying, begging, you ain't.
Because let's be honest, that might just be a manipulation ploy. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm just saying it could be, but I'm not saying that it can't be, but I'm just saying, in the genuine sense that he didn't think he would ever get caught, and he got sloppy, and it got back in. And this was like maybe a one-time thing in those situations where it's not a repeated offense. It's just something, maybe because of argument or whatever, or maybe because she's lacking somewhere. I'm not excusing his action. I'm not saying, oh, it's okay. I'm saying there's reasonings to why people do things.
Okay,
and
so
it doesn't justify it.
All right, hold on, because I feel like we doved off because that's a whole nother topic. Hey, yo, y'all watching? If you want to hear more into that realm, comment, let us know. But let's go back to
Yeah.
Shahrazad Ali because I think we hitting the end because I want to keep it still in the format. But so we're talking about in 92, 91, 92, all of the people's responses, and now it's 2022.
Mm-hmm.
If you can make it pretty short, give me a couple minutes. Tell me what you think about what she said back then is still almost the same, if not worse. If when we're talking about predictive formats, like, hey, this is if we don't do it now, this is what it will be. What do you think that she said during those times that you've seen those different interviews? What was one of the biggest ones that stood out that is still existing today?
That the black woman is not holding a light to their actions within the black community. That they're
Okay.
not shining a light on, you have been running the black family for a nice amount of time. You want to
Yo.
say, oh, the missing father is the issue. Yeah, the missing father is the issue, of
Mm-hmm.
course. But you are raising the kids now, women and I mean boys and girls into women and men. And men are being more emotional and the women are being more masculine because the woman is taught, oh, you go get your bag, you do what you got to do, you don't need a man for nothing, XYZ. The boy, I believe, is coddled because I believe it's a kind of a generational curse because of slavery. That's how I view it. I can't say I got scientific proof, but that's the only thing I can think of because when you look at it, the forms of slavery has changed, altered. It's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
here,
It
but
can't
it's
be the
in,
same. It's got to evolve and change in order to keep
so
it going the right way.
you got the prison system, you have the policing, and then you also have to worry about your own community.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Facts.
So I feel like that's the uneven balance that the woman actually plays.
Okay. Because one of the things that I think I'll end it with is that the whole notion that we cannot work together and it's exploded over time. They only need because this is scientific. They look at certain men, they look at the jaw structure, they look at their, just every structure that they have, it's evolutionary. I want that person to have the child with, but he's chaotic. He's a lot of problems, all of that. I'm willing to be a single mother because I need that DNA. But then later on, when they hit the quote unquote wall, they want the nice guy now to do that. Hey, help me raise the children. But you don't have no say, you don't have no do for all of that. Instead of being like, that's not the person I should choose because and this is actually true. I actually was looking up the studies. There are certain cultures, not cultures, sorry, my bad, just in the realm of species that exist on this planet. The deers or whatever, the longer the horns are, they're appealing. Why? Because it shows prominence, right? Just
Yeah.
boom, I got horns all the way out to here. But they have a higher problematic aspect of arthritis,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
So you're willing to take on this problem of arthritis, which also instills on the men. You want this man because his build is this, his look is this, he's all of these things. But if he's not mentally intact, that goes down to the DNA because as soon as he passes it on to you, that DNA is messed up.
Yes.
Because when it comes to raising the children, he may have not been able to read. This is not trying to sound funny, but he may have not been able to understand reading. He may have not understood math. He may have not understood anything until later on in his life. But when he was a kid, the kids are like, I don't understand any of this. So you're working with half one portion of the parent is one parent is smart, the other parent is not knowledgeable in this. So now you got to try to mesh this together and you're trying to figure it out. But this guy who made the child, who understood what he had to go through to get it, he's no longer there.
Nope.
So then you bring another man in, you're like, yo, you got to help me raise these kids. And he's trying to help teach them.
Mm-hmm.
He don't know because he was like, I knew this back then.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I knew how to read. I knew how to write. I knew how to do all of this. What are you talking about? How am I supposed to?
My mama taught me that. I don't understand. Or
You know
even
what I'm
if
saying?
he's helping, he's being criticized by his teaching methods. So
Precisely.
he's here, and then you got her right here, and then he looking like, all right, you do it. I'm done. You're not gonna keep, being
Yep.
over. And I'm supposed to be the man of the house, and I'm paying all the bills, and I'm only good for my finances. That's all I'm good for. I can't teach them nothing. I can't show them nothing. I can't whoop them. All right.
Let's not say whoop. Let's say discipline because
Right.
disciplining that
Yeah.
like whooping is the last
Yeah.
thing nowadays because we talking about
Like
2022. We ain't even black men don't even whoop their kids like that for real
no.
because what was it?
I've like
What was it? Down in Louisiana, that school where all them fathers went to the school
yes.
because the fights were so heavy, kids were getting arrested. Those fathers went down there and just them patrolling and just cracking jokes with the kids, saying, hey, hurry up and get to class, all of that. Everything depleted, all the fights depleted, all of the skipping class depleted, all of that because they had male figures in there.
Yeah.
Which also shows why Shahrazad Ali was right. Because what did she say? She was like, y'all don't raise children, y'all maintain them.
Children. Because
So if you're just maintaining them, you're not doing anything with the children. Because this is factual. The schools are not supposed to raise your children. They should know how to read, write, count, all of that stuff before they ever get to school.
Yeah.
That's the facts. That's why you have to make sure that whoever you lay down with is involved in that. Yeah. Hey, I want my kids got to read, my kids got to write. They need to be able to. I got to hold my phone away from them. If I'm trying to text, who you writing that? You get away. Stop looking at my message. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what I'm. Why are you reading my message? But because they're able to do it, and that's the thing. Because let's talk about it honestly. All these kids know how to use it. They can pull up stuff on YouTube, but they can't read. And think about it back in the day. Even Kevin Samuels said this. People get mad. People bringing up Kevin Samuels' name. But he said most of the young boys, I even did a video, remember when I was talking about Baltimore?
Yeah, I was just about to say with the video, I forgot where you said it was.
Kindergarten level reading in high school.
Yeah.
Why is that happening? Now, we're going to end it here because I know we probably didn't stretch. But if y'all want more, trust me, man, we got so much information written for you. Trust me, ask London, how much of the topics have we got written down? How much, London?
The last I count, I think it was like 8 or 9 that I know I wrote down. I know you were writing some down.
Man, I got like 20. Dead
so
serious.
I didn't catch the other ones because I was tired.
Now look, if y'all want to see more of these videos, please comment, like, share, subscribe, show us some love because we're going to keep coming with the knowledge. And this is a good conversation because it's not verses. It's about understanding. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. All right, everybody? Peace.